You ever get that feeling like someone's watching you? Like there's a conversation happening just outside your hearing, and you're the topic? Yeah, that's been my life for the past month. And 3 nights ago I found out why. $500 million. Gone. Moved in the middle of the night, while I was sleeping 10 feet away from the man who took it. My husband. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it, honestly. Because this isn't just about money, though $500 million is definitely not nothing. This is about discovering that the person you've built your entire life with has been planning your destruction in secret. Quietly, carefully, like you're some kind of chess piece he's been waiting to sacrifice. Let me introduce myself real quick. My name's Victoria, I'm 38 years old, and I married into what people call old money. The kind of wealth where nobody talks about actual dollar amounts because it's considered tacky. Where your family name opens doors before you even knock. Where prenups are thicker than the Bible and just as sacred. I met Marcus 11 years ago at a charity gala. He was charming, sophisticated, 15 years older than me. He made me feel like I was the only person in the room. We got married 18 months later in a ceremony that made the society pages. It was perfect. He was perfect. Or so I thought. Here's where the whispers started. About 6 weeks ago, I was having lunch with my friend Caroline, old family friend, known her since boarding school, trust her with my life. We were at this little French place we always go to, talking about nothing important, when she leaned in close and dropped her voice. Vic, I need to tell you something, and you're going to hate me for it. My stomach dropped. Because that's never how good news starts, right? What's wrong? I asked. Caroline glanced around like she was checking for spies. I overheard something at the club last week. Marcus was there with his lawyers. They didn't know I was in the next booth, I guess, because they weren't exactly keeping their voices down. Vic! They were talking about divorce. Your divorce. And how to hide assets before filing. I literally felt the blood drain from my face. What? I'm so sorry, Caroline whispered. But I heard them discussing moving money. Offshore accounts. Restructuring the trusts. One of the lawyers said something about she won't even know what hit her until it's too late. Vic, I think Marcus is planning to divorce you and cut you out of everything. I sat there staring at my salad, unable to breathe. Because Marcus and we'd had our problems lately, sure. What couple doesn't after 11 years? But divorce, that had never even come up. We hadn't fought. We hadn't discussed separation. We'd been fine. Hadn't we? Are you absolutely sure? I managed to ask. Caroline nodded. I heard your name. Multiple times. And they mentioned a timeline. Something about before the end of a quarter, so it aligns with some financial stuff I didn't understand. Vic, that's like 8 weeks away. I didn't want to believe her. But I couldn't ignore her either. I went home that day and looked at Marcus differently. Really looked at him. And you know what I noticed? He'd been distant for months. Coming home late. Taking calls in his office with the door locked. Going on business trips that never quite added up. All the classic signs. And I'd missed every single one because I trusted him. That night at dinner, I tested the waters. Marcus, honey, is everything okay with us? He looked up from his phone, always that damn phone lately, and smiled. Of course. Why do you ask? I don't know. You seem preoccupied. Like your mind somewhere else. Just work stress, he said smoothly. The merger's been complicated. Nothing for you to worry about. Nothing for me to worry about. Like I was a child. Like I wasn't his partner. Maybe we should take a vacation, I suggested. Get away for a while. Reconnect. Soon, he said. After this quarter wraps up. Things will calm down then. After this quarter. The same timeline Caroline had mentioned. I smiled and nodded and excused myself to the bathroom where I proceeded to have a quiet panic attack. I needed proof, so I started digging. Now, I'm not proud of what I did next, but desperate times and all that. I hired a private investigator. Not some sleazy guy from a strip mall, a real professional. Former FBI. Specialized in financial crimes. Cost me a fortune just for the consultation, but I didn't care. I gave him everything. Marcus's schedule. His known associates. The names of his lawyers that Caroline had mentioned. And then I waited. 2 weeks later, the investigator called me. Mrs. Ashford, we need to meet. In person. Today, if possible. An hour later, I was sitting in his office staring at a file folder that would change my life. Your husband has been planning this for at least 18 months, the investigator said. Probably longer. He's been systematically moving assets out of joint accounts and into structures you can't touch. Shell companies, offshore trusts. He's been working with a team of lawyers and accountants to essentially make $500 million disappear from your reach. I felt sick. $500 million. Give or take. That's what we've tracked so far. There could be more. The prenup you signed gives you a substantial settlement in case of divorce, but only from declared marital assets. If those assets don't exist on paper anymore, you get nothing but the base amount, which, if I'm reading this correctly, is about $5 million. $5 million. Which sounds like a lot until you realize I was legally entitled to over $500 million. And Marcus had spent a year and a half making sure I'd never see it. Why? I whispered. Why would he do this? The investigator cleared his throat. That's the other thing I found. There's a woman. Her name's Isabelle Laurent, 26 years old. French model. Your husband's been seeing her for about 2 years. He's purchased an apartment for her in Manhattan. A villa in Monaco. And he's been funneling money into accounts in her name. 2 years. While I was planning our anniversary party, he was buying another woman real estate. I went home that day and pretended everything was normal. I smiled at Marcus over dinner. I asked about his day. I played the role of the oblivious wife perfectly, because I needed a plan of my own. That night, after Marcus fell asleep, I crept down to his office. I'd never snooped before, never had a reason to. But Caroline's warning and the investigator's file had changed everything. I needed to see the truth with my own eyes. I found his laptop. Password protected, obviously, but I knew Marcus. He used the same password for everything. Our wedding date. Romantic, right? Except now it felt like mockery. The laptop opened, and what I found in his email made me want to throw up. Hundreds of messages. To lawyers. To accountants. To Isabelle. Planning my exit from his life like I was a project to be completed. They even had a code name for the operation. Project Renewal. Like divorcing me was some kind of fresh start. One email stood out. From Marcus to his head lawyer, dated 3 weeks ago. Timeline confirmed. Will initiate separation conversation on March 15th. By then, all transfers should be complete and untraceable. She'll be furious, but legally there's nothing she can do. Let's make sure the base settlement is processed quickly so she feels like she won something. Keep her occupied with the small victory while we secure the rest. March 15th. That was 12 days away. I had 12 days to save my future. I spent the next week preparing in secret. I hired my own team of lawyers, the best money could buy. I gathered every piece of evidence the investigator had found. I documented every suspicious transaction, every email, every whisper of Marcus's secret plan. And then I did something I'm particularly proud of. I beat him at his own game. See, Marcus thought I was just some society wife who didn't understand finance. But what he forgot is that I came from money too. My father ran a private equity firm before he retired. I grew up understanding balance sheets and tax structures. I played dumb about the finances during our marriage because Marcus's ego needed it, but that didn't mean I was actually clueless. I called in a favor from my father's old attorney, a shark of a woman named Patricia, who'd built her reputation destroying men who tried to cheat their wives in divorce. Can we stop him? I asked. Patricia smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. Honey, we're going to do better than stop him. We're going to make him regret ever thinking he was smarter than you. Here's what happened next. On March 14th, one day before Marcus planned to ambush me with divorce papers, I ambushed him instead. I woke up that morning, got dressed in my best suit, and walked into the breakfast room where Marcus sat reading the financial news on his iPad. Good morning, I said cheerfully. Morning, he mumbled, not looking up. I set a file folder on the table in front of him. I need you to sign something. That got his attention. He looked up, confused. What is it? Divorce papers. The color drained from his face. What? I'm divorcing you, Marcus. And before you start with whatever speech you've been rehearsing for tomorrow, let me save us both some time. I know everything. I know about Isabelle. I know about Project Renewal. I know about the $500 million you try to hide from me. I know all of it. He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. Victoria, I can explain. Please don't, I interrupted. I've heard enough of your lies. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to sign these papers, which include a full accounting of all marital assets, and I mean all of them, including the ones you thought you hid so cleverly. You're going to transfer my lawful share back into accessible accounts. And you're going to do it quickly and quietly. Or what? He'd found his voice again, and there was anger in it now. You can't prove any of that. My lawyers made sure. Your lawyers made mistakes, I said calmly. For instance, they used the same LLC to create shell companies in 3 different states. That creates a paper trail. Also, one of your accountants, the junior guy who helped set up the Cayman accounts, he got passed over for promotion last month, and he's not very happy with you. He's been very cooperative with my legal team. Marcus's face went gray. You have 24 hours, I continued. Sign the papers and make this easy, or I go public with everything. And I mean everything. The affair, the financial fraud, because yes, Marcus, deliberately hiding marital assets is fraud. The fact that you've been lying to the IRS about foreign accounts. All of it. Your family name will be in every tabloid from here to London. Your father's going to love that, won't he? The Ashford legacy destroyed because you couldn't keep it in your pants. The silence that followed was delicious. You wouldn't, Marcus finally said. But his voice shook. Try me. I walked out of that breakfast room and didn't look back. 23 hours later, Marcus's lawyer called mine. He was ready to negotiate. Negotiations took 4 days. In the end, I got everything I was entitled to, all $540 million of it, plus the house in Connecticut, the apartment in Paris, and a very generous compensation package for emotional distress. Marcus got to keep his family name relatively clean. I agreed not to go public with the details, though the divorce made the society pages anyway. Irreconcilable differences was the official story. Isabel, by the way, disappeared the second she found out Marcus wasn't going to be as rich as she thought. Turns out gold diggers don't stick around when the gold gets divided in divorce court. Last I heard, she was in Dubai with some oil executive. Marcus moved into a bachelor pad in the city. I heard through mutual friends that he's miserable. Good. So here's where I am now. I'm sitting in my Connecticut house, fully mine now, drinking very expensive wine and planning my next chapter. Because here's what I learned from all of this. Trust your gut. When something feels off, it probably is. Those whispers I heard, those weird feelings, they were all trying to tell me something was wrong. I also learned that playing dumb doesn't protect you. It just makes you an easier target. Marcus thought I was too naive, too trusting, too dependent to fight back. He thought he could manipulate me because I'd been letting him lead for 11 years. He was wrong. And to anyone out there who's hearing whispers about their own relationship, who's noticing weird behavior, who's feeling like something's not quite right, listen to that voice. Investigate. Protect yourself, because the person you're sleeping next to might be planning to destroy you, and you need to be ready. I'm Victoria. This is my story, and I'm walking away from my marriage $500 million richer and a whole lot wiser. Marcus thought he was playing chess. Turns out, I was playing it better.